Talk about a mood killer, right? No, I mean, I'm me, it's not you. Where's Heidi? Hi, Heidi. Come on up. Oh, yeah, let's get this. Can? Okay. Hey, everybody, how many of you were there this morning? Was that incredible? I am totally undone. About right buttons. Okay, what we're doing now, if somebody knows, would they tell me? No, I thought it would be really helpful for us to get together. To have an informal sort of tribal gathering. This morning's meeting and last night's meeting, or tonight's meeting. I'm out of the realm now. You got me in the. I'm in the zone. I'm not there. I'm in the zone. I don't. Honestly, I have to say something. I have never witnessed anything like what I witnessed this morning in my entire life as a believer. That I don't know if you guys were cued in at that level. I'm sure you were, but I was honestly in Stunville. And my question to Heidi was, what must I do to be saved? How does this work? I had that other experience when I was with Chris in China when we were among the underground church, and I came out there going, Chris, what must I do to be saved? I don't get it. I'm starting over. So there was another thing there. But so this morning was open, and we got a little ring in the system. Is there a way that we can unring the system? Somebody that knows a little bit about a ring system. Yeah, you can do a test.
We're going to take a second to get the ring system. And it's kind of selfish on the part of Blood Fire Atlanta, but we wanted to do something. If we waited another second, when Heidi gets the mic, it's over, and we wouldn't get to do any of this. And you guys are always blessing Atlanta, and we seldom get to bless you guys back. And this costs me nothing, but it costs a lot of people a lot of time and energy and creativity. Because one of the things that we're trying to do is really do some things that take a different message in crowds that don't hang out with us a lot. And so there are all these T-shirts, and we were going to bring all these T-shirts, and we were going to. We thought it'd be an excellent way to get gas money to get back. And it was amazing. I saw DJ when we went into the meeting this morning, and the Lord spoke to us both the same way this morning. He cares about little T-shirts. Isn't that amazing? And he said, give them away. Just give them away. And so I want to take. It's not real spiritual, but it's just where we. Thank you, Tim. I knew you'd help me. DJ, Stephanie, Ryan, bring those up here a minute, and let me just show you what, because these guys spent something like, what's 48 and 24?
Heidi, what's 48 and 40?
28 and 40. See, well, about 3 days, just nonstop making these things, and I just want you to see. And so afterwards, you just get your size. They're all sizes. We got a bunch for the kids. The littlest ones to take back. Those little ones that Stephanie was going to wear. Can we just take a minute? We just show them some of here we go. This one's my favorite. This one you can bless the church and cast out demons at the same time. Death resurrected. His name is Jesus. So afterwards, if you can get up off the floor, first up can get first pick, and just come in and get whatever it is that you would like to have. And if you're not going to wear them, don't bother taking them, because we just give them to people who need. Okay.
we're in need of a wardrobe improvement at a high level here. Heidi definitely needs to get one of these dudes.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, so let me just say that something that's going on that's pretty precious, and it has been going on for a long time. We're just getting some definition of it. But we've begun to understand with blood, fire, and rock that we're really one tribe with two names. Where's David? Would you agree with that, David?
I agree with that.
One tribe, two names, and whatever brand name we need for the setting, we'll use that brand name. Like if we need to use blood and fire because that's the right setting, that's appropriate in order to get the level of impact, we'll just use that name. And if we need to, use the rock, we'll use the rock. We'll do whatever we got to do to get, basically what we want to do is connect people to Father in the most significant way. Connect people to Jesus. Get them to heaven where they're in that atmosphere of the Lord. That's all we want to do, is get them to heaven where they see their Father and know who they are as children. And then connect them relationally in a meaningful way. Because they're not going to be able to sustain a life in Christ in isolation. We're not gurus, we're the people of God. And that's a major missing equation. And then of course the third one is, we want to together reach the neediest people in the earth. The children, the youth, the poor, the unreached people groups. So what we're watching is a connecting of people in a very serious way. And we've never been able to put it together at this level, and we're still experimenting with what that means. And so you guys from The Rock, we're going, yeah, we've been able to enjoy Blood, Fire, and love them. We've been a part of them. We've been blessed by them. Many of us have gone to Atlanta. And Atlanta is, I think this is the first time there's been a wholesale visit of Atlanta to Kansas City. Would you say that's true? And we want to welcome you guys. This is like amazing. We greet you. So let's greet them. We're just absolutely blown away. And of course, Andy, wherever you are, you're here, Andy. Hi, Andy. Andy is like a part of this whole thing. Andy's a real papa, and he's leading a work out in Oklahoma and Texas. And so Andy's another one of these papas that has come and connected with us, and we with them. And so we'll all have to go to Sayre here sometime and love up on Sayre. Is Maria and company here? Do they know that they can be here? Okay, are they just resting or recovering or? Siesta. Okay. Thank you, Manny. I just had a little bit of a cultural confusion here. Manny's agreed to help me become Mexican. Hey. Hey now. Well, we thought we'd just have a little informal family hooking up today with Heidi here, because this thing of Heidi connecting with us at a level that is significant and ongoing, that's a big thing. And I've felt for some time that we were going to have a profound relationship with Heidi. And that really got established in my heart when I was in the Spirit ministering to the Lord in California. And the Lord told me to get in touch with her and get her connected with us. And so what's happening now is pretty immeasurably amazing. So she's kind of just being brought into the center of this thing in a major way. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to get a sense from the Lord of how this is all panning out. But what we have felt for quite a while is that this area right down here will be an Antioch sending center. And the Lord has told us that there will be at least 1,000 families that will own homes and be able to come and go as the Spirit leads in groups of 20, 30, 50, 100. And when they come out, others will come in and rent their home so they don't miss a beat on their house payment, so so that they can be free to go to the nations. And that this will be an equipping center. And the equipping center won't be just classrooms, it will be life together. They'll get exposed to the poor, exposed to intimacy with Jesus. And what we want to eventually do is have prayer and intercession, worship intercession going on 24/7 down here, healing rooms going on, house churches being planted, equipping going on, and then next door, we're closing on that building in just 10 or 12 days. That building will be a training center for the poor in life skills. And we're going to get that building for $20,000. And we're lacking just a few thousand for have the full amount for it to close. So we think what God's setting up is how can I put this, an apostolic community that's got its eyes on intimacy with the Lord and the love of the Father, connectedness relationally, but with a passion for the nations. And it will provide sort of a relational setting for tens of thousands of young people that meet Jesus within this DNA, that can come here and cycle in this place for 3 to 4 years, get meaningful relationships established, and then we're confident that they understand how to abide in the Lord. They understand how to be loyal to one another under pressure when both of them are disappointing one another. And to know how to plant house churches and do the work of the kingdom and move in the supernatural and be compassionate. But we want to have confidence that there's enough character in them and enough understanding of that we can be competent to send out. But what we want to do is we want to be able to release into Mozambique and connect them up with what Heidi's doing, because Heidi wants to expose people to all these values in the setting of the poorest of the poor in the earth, in Africa and other places. So what we're beginning to see now is this way of connecting people meaningfully for the long haul of reaching the nations. And then a part of this too is being able to at least have our folk come through Atlanta and get with John Wallace and David and Janice and get into that creative combustion in that warehouse and live there for a while and pick up on the training and the DNA so that rock people could go to that warehouse and pick up on that atmosphere for a week or two or whatever. And then they cycle back to Kansas City, then we send them out to Andy and they learn how to ride a horse or a bull, whatever the case may be. And they get the word of the Lord out there. Daryl loves up on them, gets them all healed up. And we get that thing happening, and then cycle back again. And it creates this Holy Spirit swirl of love and connectedness. And then Heidi may say, hey look, I've got a couple hundred people that need to come into the U.S. they need to be healed up, they need to be loved up, they need to be trained up. Can I ship off 100 people and we just love on them? And they live in our homes and we connect relationally. I mean, you see how a tribe can work? It becomes a seamless flow of the love of the Father through the conduit of family and out to the lost. It's a seamless, connected flow. And with, email and camcorders and jet airplanes and cell phones, this is all within reach. Does that make sense? I mean, the world has now collapsed into a point where we can, in real time, have conversations in real time all the way around the world through satellite. So we're now working on a massive website that will eventually be a resource to resource this apostolic movement in the earth. Now, we're not just going to back it up for rock. We're going to make this content available to anybody and everybody, whomsoever, that wants to walk this out. And they don't have to align with Blood and Fire or the Rock or anything else. We want to be a voice and a resource to the whole church. So we're going to begin collecting data on all these values and make these resources available. So let's say Heidi's really blowing and going. We can connect this and stream that video right through that website, and people can touch her spirit, touch the Spirit of the Lord through her. Or David and Janice are doing a creative combustion, and David's up there prophesying and blowing, going to the warehouse. We document that thing and stream it back out. So this is what we think is going on right now, and it's happening at a warp speed. We haven't even had a chance to sit down and visit about it. It's just coming by and as of a day or two or 5 or 6, this is fresh off the press in terms of the what the Spirit of God has been saying to us. And what we want to do is enter into a dialogue so there's a partnership in your heart and you don't feel like you're being surprised by this, or you need to own, let's put it this way, you need to come into the dialogue and add to it. And so that's what this is about. This is about a family dialogue as to how we think the Lord wants to take the nations. Speaking of the nations, hello Maria. We welcome into your family, Maria. Come on up here, Maria. Come on up here.
Nations?
I said the word nations and the door flings open. Maria walks in. So, are you catching the spirit of this? Are you catching the essence of this? Now, John Wallace, everybody say hey to John back there. John and Suzanne. Okay, John and Suzanne. Stand up so they can really see your beauty. Okay, there you go. All right, we just love John and Suzanne. They have a real calling to mentor and train and to help set up a training and equipping center in Atlanta. And they want some of our team and staff to go over there and be a part of that resource, and we want them to come here and help us in our training center, which we need to kick up to another notch, after the first of the year. Now what we're telling people is this, in terms of equipping. People come in and say, hey, let me do your 3-month training program like YWAM and then send me out with confidence. And I'll be good to go. And we're going, well, it's not exactly simple. Because the values alone, just if you read them and studied them in the Word, the values alone take about 6 months, just the spiritual warfare, just to absorb them in your mind, let alone get them in your heart. And then to build relationships and to get the ministry skills necessary and the connectedness, we think it takes 3 to 4 years to get that kind of ongoing confidence in one another. Now that means you need to do ministry experience, touch the poor. That doesn't mean you can't start ministering right away. You can start ministering right away, but for those kind of things to get into your being, it takes a while to get into your spirit. So that's why we think it's important to live together, to see what we do under pressure, and to work together. So that's why I would love for people to come into Mozambique and into Africa and say, Heidi, can you take some of the rock folk, let them hang out in that setting for several months, and let that environment do its thing on them. And over time, we'll grow together. Do you see where we're going? Because it takes a while to get this new paradigm into our consciousness of house churches and life together, and what do you do when people are messing up in a serious way, not a little way. And so that's just going to take a little while. So something dynamic is going on right now. I felt it was important to get it out there to you so that we can go on a journey together. This is not an announcement. I don't want anybody in the Rock or Blood Fire to think, oh, they're telling us what we're doing. This is not the spirit of what's going on. You're hearing a conversation that I'm having and some of us are having informally, and it's just been happening recently. Because I so love Chris and Andrea. I so love Tom Reedy, wherever Tom is. Where's Tom? I so love Tom Reedy. Tom and I are covenant brothers. Chris is a covenant brother to me. We're in this thing for the long haul. Manny is a covenant brother. David. So it would be disrespectful of the relationship that we have to just give them announcements and proclamations and not let us have a conversation. Because the Christ in Chris is very strong. And the Christ in Dr. T is very strong. And so, but I feel like the role of a point leader, a point vision leader, is to help at least facilitate the dialogue, the conversation, and not dump it on people, but to get into a dialogue. So this is not a foregone conclusion. This is a journey. Can you all understand the thing? And we're not saying it's going to happen today. We're just unwrapping this thing so we can all enter into the dialogue by faith. Does that make sense? Okay, this is very important because let me just tell you another one of my responsibilities. What do you mean by that? Well, when a group of people agree to a set of biblical values and a vision and a strategy, and and invest their life in that thing. Okay? They are basically investing in something bigger than themselves. They don't even care about their reputation or anything. They care that that thing keeps moving forward. That their investment doesn't dwindle and die because of bad leadership or the judgment of God hits it. Does that make sense? Okay, so one of the things we have to do is as we come together and invest life together, it's critical that we as leaders invest that tribal, protect that tribal trust by holding hard after Jesus and being clean in our spirits and having integrity. Because we don't want the Lord's judgment to come. We don't want the Holy Spirit to lift off of something. So we're going on a journey together into the nations. And Maria is a very big part of this. Maria Estevez. And I'd just like us to greet her again. Maria. Maria is a mama. And she's actually a grandmama. And here's this grandma riding around Mexico in this non-air conditioned, white, clunky Suburban, hauling people and food around in the dustiest, harshest places of the world, ministering to the poor with signs and wonders and miracles and planting churches. Now that's what I call apostolic. No one's going to convince me a woman can't be an apostle. I mean, I just don't see it in the Word and I don't see it in life. Yes, it's good if they have some relationship with male types, that can help bring some balance and covering to the equation. But my goodness gracious, I feel like I'm following, Heidi and Maria in many ways. So we've got this thing going now. Let me tell you this. It's got to be interracial. It has to be. It has to be color under the sun, but more importantly, every culture under the sun. There's a big difference between the color of skin and the culture it bears in their heart. And being a Mexican person, I don't really understand yet but I'm going to get there with Manny's and Maria's help eventually. I'm going to be more Mexican by the time this thing is over. And I am going to learn to be black. Whatever that means. So, we must be interracial. We must honor this thing. There's no way we can do that. We have to be international. It has to be international. It has to be intergenerational. It has to be old people and young people. Little kids need grandparents to hug them and spend time with them. It has to be intergenerational. Yes, we say we're targeting youth, but that doesn't mean they're the sole focus. It means that the older and the stronger serve the younger. And that's why we keep driving that thing out to the youth. It has to include the poor. Quite frankly, they're most of the earth. Statistically. Okay? So it has to be interracial, it has to be cross-cultural, it has to be international, it has to be intergenerational, it has to be, socio-economically diverse. That's a big word. Practice it. I just learned it a few days ago. Socio-economically diverse. It has to be rich and poor. And that's as big a cultural difference as anything. Okay. So, what I feel like it would be good for Heidi to do now is to take a second, because now she really is talking to her people. She was really talking to her people yesterday, this morning, but there were some people looking in on us. I had a gal come up and go, I've been a Baptist all my life. What do I do with all this? I mean, honestly, I'm reading. That's what I told her. I said, he's a Baptist. She goes, he is? I go, oh yeah. Southwest Baptist Seminary. He's official Baptist. She goes, okay. Great. Give her 5 minutes before the growl hits, Tom. Just 5 minutes before the manifestation. So I really hope that you. I know this has happened. You've got to look at this mix of people. Here we are in the inner city, and by the way, God bursts everything in a manger. He bursts things out of things that never look like they're going to happen, in weakness, and in death, that's when God bursts things. And here we were, this thing, for us, started in a basement with a handful of people working with inner city children. And the glory of God fell in the basement. So everything's birthed in a manger. That's how he does it. In the apostolic is no different. And by the way, never forget that, because if you go down before you go up, it's probably God. Because he has to use weakness as the backdrop. And all of us that have been in leadership for any length of time, we understand it, don't we? We understand that, man. All right. So Heidi, talk to your family a little bit. Now your mother, you got a chance. This is your daughter and a mother in the house. And I want you to come up here and just give whatever you have as a mother to coach your kids, because some of them may be over in Africa in a short time. We have a real heart for India. We've already sent a team to India, half of them which live down in India. We have a heart for Asia. We have nations. We have a heart for Central and South America. So talk to your kids. I mean, what do you think? What should we do next? How must we be saved? And I'm going to stick this somewhere. Well, Laura will put this somewhere. Okay. Don't ask me. We're trying to get everything on digital recordings now. Both visually. Are we taping this? I mean, are we actually? Oh, there's the camera. Okay. I'm ready. So first of all, Heidi, what are your first impressions of the forming of an apostolic tribe, and what do you think about all this?
I like the tribe.
You know, this is like a thorn standing next to a rose. You're so sweet, and I'm so, like, crude. How did that ever happen? As well as my marriage, it's the same in my marriage. So what do you think? Talk.
We just have the same vision. The Lord's been speaking to us a lot about a multitude of laid down lovers from every tribe and tongue. And we just have seen them coming and being so in love that they give their lives away. And that there would be the new generation of people that would, what we're seeing every day, that there would be multitudes and multitudes of these young people that would surround the globe, and I had a vision of it. And so I was really excited about this, because exactly what we're hearing. And that they won't get exhausted anymore.
Why won't they get exhausted?
Because they're full of new wine. They're full of the presence of Jesus. They're eating Jesus, drinking Jesus. They know how to live in a secret place. And because of that, their life is given, wholly given, is what we saw. They were wholly given, laid down lovers that went across the globe for love. And they weren't stoppable. They were unstoppable. And you couldn't make them stop. And you couldn't provoke them to stop. Because they were so in love, they heard the heartbeat. And again, wow, see, I had to make a choice, I guess. I know I didn't have a choice. The Lord saying, always be honest. I had no choice whatsoever. Wow. I went inside the heart of God. And it was so amazing to be inside there that I just said, I'm not leaving. I'm staying right inside. And I heard his heart. And I really wanted to die. No, that's why I'm fearless. Because when they shoot at me, I'm always saying, aim better. You know, I just do. And I do. I really do. I walk right into gangs. They have guns, knives. I had 8 guys with machine guns take me in. And I'm just fearless because I've been smart. I want to go. And so I don't care. Like, they can just do anything. I've been there and I want to live there. But my problem was, I wanted to stay, and he showed me, wow. This is, what is it? What are you doing?
Stick us in there. Your anointing bent the.
Wow, are you interviewing me or am I talking?
You're just talking, we're chatting, we're visiting.
Okay, here
We're
we
talking to
go.
family now.
What happened, there was this little problem when I wanted to stay inside there and not go out anymore. I heard his heartbeat. And I heard what he feels for the lost and the broken and the dying of this world. And my passion for him is so intense that I can't not go into the further darkness. And every time I just get closer to his heart, he shows me the darkness. I get closer to his heart, and he shows me the greater darkness. He said, the light shines brightest in the greatest darkness. For me, my personal cost has been everything. I don't have, I've given up all, I don't know anything left. If there's anything left, I always say if there's a cell left that hasn't been given, take it. That's my prayer every day. You know, I want full possession by the Holy Spirit. I'm not there yet, but that's all I want. That's my prayer, that's my cry, that's my heart. And as I was just, can I share something with you? Okay, this is really cool. Look at this. This is really cool. Someone just gave it to me. A language would Jesus would tell. Wow. I saw this group, this little group here, and I was asking Jesus, you know what could I say to you guys? And I think he said, tell them they're the little boy with the lunch. They're the little boy with the lunch, and they're around. Whoa, and we look at the multitude, and we look at our little lunch. Now, we look really silly in the natural. This group of people, let's bring the nation, let's be up slowly, get the people, bring it all the way. And here's the map, and let's get it. I mean, please. Yeah, okay. It's like all the conferences I do, they all have these titles that make, it's just hilarious. Apostolic history makers, world changers, shakers, signs and wonders, and whatever. We're little people with a lunch. We're, just little would be the word. Little people in a little room with a little lunch. That's the point. We need to be exactly that. But that little lunch in the hands of God multiplies. Wow. But only if you give him the whole lunch. He doesn't want you to hand over a sandwich. He wants you to give him the whole lunch. Wow. Because if you don't hand him the whole lunch, it's not going to happen. Now, this is, as I walked in the room, what he put on my heart, so I'm going to share. If I'm going to be mom. Here you go. John 6. Sometime after, Jesus crossed the far shore of the Sea of Galilee. And there was a great crowd of people, and they followed him because they saw the miraculous signs he performed on the sick. Wow! And then Jesus went up on a mountainside, and he sat down with his disciples. So first thing, here's Jesus talking to his friends, talking to his people, and he's intimate with his Father, and he takes them away, and there's all these miracles, and he keeps saying, and this is what you have to remember, beautiful tribe that you are. Come away, my beloved. Come away, my beloved. Come away, my beloved. Every day, come away, my beloved. Wow, we've worked with the poor now since I was 16, I've been preaching on the streets. So for a lot of years, okay? And we had a lot of things modeled to us, and they would always say, you know, sometimes they would even joke about devotional time. Joke about it like, oh, please. You know, hello. Holly.
Your voice has changed.
Anyway, just hang it, you know, we don't need it here. It's okay. You can fix it. Okay. Okay, but I move around so that won't work. Okay, this is the thing. You've got to come away in order to be full. And if you remember this, I tell our staff and our coworkers, they go, guys, they come in, they're all fresh, you know. We have like 100 missionaries now. They come in, they're all fresh, and we have hundreds and hundreds of Africans on staff. And they're all fresh, and they're all excited. Yes, let's win the nations, you know. And God's talked to them. They have all these visions, and they're all excited. And you know, and then everything, all hell breaks loose pretty much every day. And I say, you guys, you've got to live in a secret place. They go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the door's going bang, bang, bang. Somebody else is dying. And I say, you have to live in a secret place. They go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And bang, bang, bang. Someone else is crying. You've got to live in a secret place. Bang, bang, bang. Someone else is in need of food. Gotta live in the secret place. Gotta have intimacy. There's no fruit without intimacy. Bang, bang, bang. And he's saying, come away. You've got to be utterly full. The more full you are, the more you have to give. I learned that 1 minute in the anointing's worth hours of your striving. Hours of your striving. Hours of your striving. You can't do anything in your striving. You can try all the way you like, and you can get mad at everybody who doesn't do it. Or you can learn to live in a secret place, and when you come out, you step out and smell like Jesus. And then people are attracted to Jesus, and people want to eat Jesus and drink Jesus, and they want to be around Jesus in you. And it attracts the broken and the poor. It attracts people. And it's not about how much you can get done in a day. It's about being the fragrance of Christ in a dying world. It's not about how much you can get done in a day. It's about being the fragrance of Christ in a dying world. It's not about how much you can get done in a day. It's about being the fragrance of Christ in a dying world. If you look at the multitude and you look at your lunch, you're going to burn out. If you look at the multitude and you look at your ability, you're going to be a little bit sick. Or sad, at least. But if you look into the eyes of the one who can take that lunch and multiply it for the multitude, if you seek his face and you live in his glory, then when you see that face of the one and the face of the two, and that becomes 10, and that becomes 10,000 and 100,000, you're no longer overwhelmed because of the beauty of who he is, and you take what tiny little life you have and you offer it in the hands of the mighty lover God. And everything's changed. So he took his disciples away and he said, come on guys, I know everybody's hungry and everybody's needing stuff and they're sick and they're poor and they're hurting. Come away up here and let's spend time together loving each other. That's why your model is wonderful, you know, bring them away, bring them aside, let them live together. Let them learn to love like that. Wow. And he brought them aside, and then he said, now, come. They're on a mountainside. And there's all these people. They saw a great crowd coming towards him. And you see, I see the poor of the earth. They're a great crowd of crying and dying and broken people. They're a huge multitude, a sea of poverty, a sea of pain, a sea of desperation. And they're all over the world. They're not just in one place, they're everywhere. They're right here on your streets, they're everywhere, and they're always in need, and they're always in need, and they're always in need. And they're crying, and they're dying, and they're broken, and they're crying out. And this disciple's looking at them, and he can see them. They're there, and he can see, and he's going, what are we going to do? And Jesus says, where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. Jesus loves to do that. He loves to do that, Jesus. Like, he knows what he's going to do. What do you think? What do you think we should do? I don't know. Look at all these people. I don't know what we're going to do. And he likes to do that. He asks you questions. He knows exactly. He can do anything, anytime, but he likes to ask you, what do you think? And the disciples are freaked out by the whole going, too many people, too much need, too much. And there is so much, and there's too much. You can't, I guess I want to just tell you, you can't do it. I like to make that really clear. Look at this globe. Look at this room. Excuse me. You're going to reach the world with your apostolic tribe. Okay. Hooray. Look at this world. Look at this room. Then look into the face of Jesus. Then everything changes. Because if you just look at this room, people sitting on these little plastic orange chairs, and you look at this world, it's just so ridiculous, it's hilarious. It's just so ridiculous, it's so ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as Jesus wanting some little kid's lunch. That's me. Why would Jesus take a child's lunch? I don't understand that. And why would he take that child's lunch? The child's lunch is pitiful, just like this room. In the natural realm. Let's be honest. Unless you think you're really something awesome. You know what I'm saying? In the natural, look at us. It's like, win the world. It's like that boy and this multitude. That's what, I know I look totally ridiculous. I'm the wrong color. I'm the wrong socioeconomic background. Laguna Beach. I have a PhD in systematic theology from an Ivy League university. This is wrong as well. For all the tribes I run in, basically, as well as for the poor. Everything about me is wrong. And yet, in the hands of Jesus, he can take somebody, everything about them is wrong for the people he asked them to reach. And he can say, I will breathe my life into you and make this right. Police chiefs call me mama. They throw me in jail and call me mama. The prostitutes all call me mama. It makes heads spin. Whoop! There's their mama, the tourists say. There's their mama. The kids, they come running up to me wearing almost nothing. Mama, and they grab a hold of me. Old men call me mama, little kids call me mama. Everybody calls me mama, and I'm the wrong everything. But it is, God's just looking for someone with a lunch who's willing to hand over that lunch for a dying world. Now look at this story and think about the world and think about this tribe in this little room sitting on your little orange chairs. Think about it right now. Look at this world. Look at it. We planted churches now in 17 nations. We went from here all the way up and we're going to Jerusalem. Shandai. We went over here and we're in Brazil. But this is just so little. Ukraine are both pastored by two black pastors from Africa. Their congregations are all white. They're two black guys from Africa. They have two different churches. The two biggest churches in the Ukraine are pastored by Henry Moldova and Sunday Elijah. And they invited me to speak in both their churches. And we're just going, This is hilarious. All our churches are black. Theirs are white. We're going, is God like, what's he thinking? We're thinking he's God. He's actually thinking that he is. And he can take anybody with a lunch and multiply it for nations. So not only are these tribes going to be radical lovers and laid down lovers and living in a secret place and wholly given, but they're going to be the ones who hand their lunch over. Because so much of the church, they either think they have more than they have, or they know they have nothing, and they're too afraid to give their little sandwich to God. You see, either way, it's not going to work. Either way, we can't do it. Either way, we're like, it's like, you see some of those those guys that overcoming were the head, not who the way. Oh, righty then, And you just going, nothing's happening. Glad you're the head. I just believe we ought to be so honest. I just believe we should be really honest about who we are. But then, wow, we look into his face. Shaddai. Look. Behold him. Behold him. Look at the sea and look into his face. I'm just wondering if this tribe can handle this story. Oh, why not? Here's an example. Look at this. Wow. This is family, so I don't have to put it all in context. It's just going to give you 3 points. Look what it says. There's all these people, they buy bread, they don't know what to do, they can't buy enough bread. People are always worried how they're going to fund everything. How are we going to fund it? How are we going to fund it? Get one kid with a sandwich who will give it to Jesus. Shaddai. Always worried, how are we going to fund him? I never worried about that. We went on a one-way ticket, $30 US, 24 and a half years ago. And I never thought about how we would fund a thing. Never. Why? Because we have just said, here, take this. And he says, okay, watch what I can do with it. Take this, watch what I can do with it. And if you worry about how you're going to fund it, you'll never, ever do it. Because the disciples couldn't figure that out either. They couldn't fund it. They said, well, we can't. 8 months' wages. Won't buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. 8 months' wages, even that wouldn't be enough. All of our scheming and our planning and our driving and our conniving won't do it. We can't do it. Good. Thank God, good. That's the first point. You can't do it. That's my first point. You can't do it. But there's good news. It's okay. There's good news coming. And he said, well, actually, there's another disciple, Andrew, and he said, actually, there's a little kid here, and he has 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far would they go among so many? Just saying that's ridiculous. Just saying that is so crazy ridiculous. Andrew was something in Andrew. There was something in Andrew where he had seen, maybe just for a moment, the face of Jesus. Just for a moment, something in But here's one little kid with this little lunch. What would that do? I mean, he doesn't want to sound stupid. He doesn't want to sound really stupid in front of all his friends. So he's going, but what would that do? You know, I'm sorry I mentioned him really. But he brings him out there, and here's this little guy, and I was thinking, what would his mother have thought? You know, she made him the lunch, and there's all these people with no food. And it was like she made it for him. She made it for him, and this Andrew now is bringing him out, and it's just ridiculous. And I got a revelation of this because of my our lives are silly. But if you take a silly little life like this one, Shandai, take a silly little life like this one, and you take your silly little whatever you have, your little faith, your little gift, your little offering, your little life, your little education, your little background, your little anything, your little, and you just go, here, take it. You look at all those people and you think, why?